Wearables, disrupting healthcare monitoring.
Yeah, fantastic. So, yeah, delighted to be here, João Bocas. I'm gonna go straight to the session. Certainly, we heard a lot about wearables, but before I go to the session, let me congratulate the organizers, Digital Health Malta, Ryan, Stefan, and Dylan, and all the organizers, all of those involved. Well done on the event. But I'm going to introduce the panel. We heard a lot about wearables disrupting healthcare. Certainly they are doing that. And going forward is just a matter of going even deeper into that. My name is João Bocas, also the CEO of Digital Solutum, and I do a lot of work around wearables. But let me introduce you Laurent, and he's going to do a short introduction about him. Over to you, Laurent.
Thank you, Joao. My name is Laurent Völkel. I'm from Virtual Electronics in Germany, and I'm field application engineer and business development for energy harvesting devices.
You want to go next, Alexander? Go for it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alessandro Galloppini. I work at Humana Medical Technologies. I'm a senior biomedical engineer there, and I'm looking forward to this panel.
Thank you. And go, Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Colonna. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Oral Muscles. We connect muscle activity data to action, and excited to be here.
Last but not least, Alexander.
Hi everyone. I'm Alex Tomic. I'm the founder and CEO of Alia. I'm more known in the online gambling business. We are an online gambling operator and B2B provider. And why MedTech? Because basically what we do, we aggregate data from different providers. And what's happening today in the wearable field is that basically we have a lot of different kind of wearables that are using a lot of different kind of trackers in different parts of the body, whether it's the Oura Ring, Whoop, Polar H10, Muse, CGI devices that measures the interstitial fluid to get your blood sugar levels, and they all show very different data. So what we are interested into doing today is aggregate all these data and challenge them, compare them, and try to understand what makes them so different, and also try to extract meaningful information for the customer with that data. I mean, it's interesting to know that your heart level is too high, that your heart variability is too low, that your sugar level are too high, but what do we do with that, and how do we correlate these different data points together?
Thank you, Alexander. You certainly mentioned diving in a couple of very important points there. But the first question that I have for the panel, and I have a bit of content to go through, I ask you to try to be brief. How do you see the wearables market right now? And maybe I can start with you, Tanya.
Okay. I find it very exciting. I mean, you can integrate into anything. Our company is integrating into sports, into medical, and as long as you can process the data into actionable metrics that you can take forward, this can really be a leap forward within healthcare.
Fantastic, thank you. Alexander, would you like to go next?
From my point of view, when we talk about wearable devices, we are seeing a market that is growing more and more, and I believe that it's going to be even growing much and much more in the next years. If you think about people that want to train, if you think about people that simply want to go for a walk and lose some weight, if you think about all the tools that the doctors and medical professionals can use right now, we are seeing a bright future for wearable devices for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alexander. And Florent, would you like to give your insight, please?
Well, I believe we are in wearables on the Stone Age. This is my opinion about wearables right now, because if you think back in maybe for 20 years ago, how was the thinking about electronics in wearables. Right now, we're just on the Stone Age for the next 10, 15 years, maybe.
Oh, fantastic point. Alexander, would you like to give your short insight about how do you see it?
I've worn, I don't know about you guys, about maybe 6 or 7 wearables real time during 2 years. Now, I've removed them now, but I mean, I added from here to here, and even the CGM things, and try to really make sense of the data. So some of them are very insightful, especially glucose, continuous glucose monitoring, where you see the impact of food and things that you don't even understand. Let's say you eat a cake and you have this spike, and if you eat a steak before, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat steaks, but if you eat protein and then you eat the same cake after, sorry, you don't have the same spike. You see also the impact of 20 minutes walk after food, alcohol with food, lack of sleep on blood pressure. Sorry, there's so many things that this data can bring you. The thing is that, again, how do you collect them? And for the first time, what we have here is that we collect biological data from a human body. Sorry. So we really need to know which kind of sensor do we want to use. Thank you very much. And where do we want to place them? URA, for example, has taken a very interesting stance and say we place them on the finger because we believe that here, this part of the finger is very well innerved. On the other side, it's very long way from the heart. You would prefer to have it here. Do you use PPG sensor, which are light, or do you use ECG sensor that are electrical sensor? That's the main point when you start dealing with wearable is what type of sensor do you use, what technology do you use, and where do you place it on the body? And from there, what kind of meaningful information, actionable, you're going to provide to the customer so it serves for something, and how you correlate these data together.
Fantastic. You mentioned some really important points there about, I mean, for example, our ring, it goes to a different place. There is a company in US that innovates about Wearables. They defend that actually the ear canal is the best place to get vital signs. It might be. But the next question that I have for the channel is, what are the main challenges with wearables? And we heard a few things already. And I start with you this time, Laurent. What do you think are the main challenges?
Well, there are a lot of challenges. You touched the hot stone in this thematic, because actually I will not talk about regulation and what kind of data and so on. The main point is starting like Alex says, where I put my sensor and how comfort I give to the patient or for the people who want to wear it. Because, you know, if you think the smartwatch, okay, we have right now a lot of pulse sensing, blood oxygenation, everything. You must make it in kind of comfort. Nobody wants to wear a belt of battery packs and wire it completely, totally, because just to collect some data from my body, it will be not accepted. So it must be something, I would say, in electronics, if you keep it simple and stupid, it has success. The same with the speaker before, they say about adaptation in the software. Also in this case, it must be so easy that just press one button, pair it, and that's it. I don't have to care about MAC address and setup, and so it must be everything self-calibrated and easy. And I believe right now is the good point that when people start to develop such devices, don't think always on the battery, because battery make waste. That's the reason why I'm researching more like 6 years in energy harvesting. And you can really power today, like automatic watches in the past, you can power today electronic smartwatches just by movement. You can just with your body heat, you can power a lot of sensors. Professor Rogers on the University of Illinois, he did make even a small, like a printable a tattoo, and you can have EKG, you can have blood pressure, you can have different data, which is quite very accurate. And I will start, if I would be now a developer, not start with a medical device, because medical device is quite difficult to get to the market. But I will start with, make it multimedia, make it simple, make it a simple gadget, and in time you can improve the accuracy, and you can see today a blood oxidation sensor you can buy in the food market for 10 euro. It will be impossible for 20 years ago to buy a blood saturation for 20 euro or even for less money. And they are very accurate. So I think it's a big challenge right now. There are many chances, but there are also many bad roads which you have to take. And yeah, we will see in next 10 years what will happen.
Thank you, Laurent. Tanya, how do you see it?
Yeah, so I can speak from the startup perspective in wearable devices, and for us it was really challenging because, as the Prime Minister said, you have to juggle UX design, it has to be easy to use, you have to have data, you have to show that this drives value, but we were kind of stuck in the chicken or the egg situation. We had an idea, we knew it would drive value, but we couldn't prove it without getting data, and you can't get data without getting the clinicians on board, and you can't get the clinicians on board without data. So it's this circular play while you're trying to manage your cash flow, while you're trying to actually figure out reimbursement, how much could it actually be reimbursed for so people can pay for it. And so it goes back to what Laurent said. We ended up veering towards the sports market, and they were really up for iterative design with us. So when we started testing with the Dutch Olympic skating team, we were actually putting a laptop in a former Olympian speed skating suit so that we could collect data on ice. So I think from a startup perspective, at least, it's hard to juggle everything that needs to be done while attracting investors, while attracting stakeholders, while not running out of money and sleeping. So that's how I see it right now. And so if you can work together with research centers, and you can somehow also have those researchers towards a practical outcome, these data-driven actions, rather than just looking into the research perspective, that would be a great solution.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Very, very quickly, we were talking last night about your innovation. Make sure you check Tanya's startup, by the way. And congratulations on passing that point of the chicken and egg catching situation. Well done on that.
Thank you, but there's always more chicken and egg situations.
Alexander, if you pick a point, there are many challenges, and we heard a few. You mentioned, for example, the proliferation of the data and the data discrepancy, in other words. If you pick a challenge, what would that be around wearables? We're talking about challenges.
I would say that for a company that want to launch a product today, whether it's a software product where you would do some kind of data integration, or whether it's a wearable. We actually started our own wearable with partnership with a company called Balancel that provides the sensors. You are going to definitely meet the big guys of this world. Google just bought Fitbit 1 year ago for 2.1 billion or something like that. You have some very well-established companies that are coming from another sector, like, for example, Polar and Fitbit, and more like devices for athletes. You have Abbott that is here and providing CGM sensors, but they never done something about it. We're just giving it to diabetic people, and you have now companies like Level or Very or NutriSense that are using this technology, the hardware, and put the software on top of it. But you're going to have people that are going to come with a lot of funds. It's big cash. So you need money. You will definitely need a lot of money. If you want to go into that field, you'll need money, and you need money for two reasons. You're going to compete with the big ones. They have a lot of data, and you will need eventually to do some clinical trials. And that, at the moment we start talking about clinical trials, we need money. We need a lot of cash. So if we look at it at an entrepreneurial perspective, you're going to find very, very big guys.
Thank you, Alexander, for those insights. Alexandro, how do you see it?
I think that before Laurent mentioned something very interesting, which is the comfort of the people that should be wearing these devices. And that's obviously the focus that we should take into consideration, because if a device is light and ultra-weight miniaturized, then we can have a selling point, and also we can have a larger distribution of the devices to the consumer. Of course, when it comes to hospital as well, I believe that when you go to clinics or hospitals, the fact that the device can be user-friendly and easy to use, that makes it very interesting and appealing for our clients, our customers. When it comes to data, I think that we should also rely on a large database that we can collect right now, because we already have a lot of smartwatches and gadgets available. And the fact that we can access more and more data, that makes our algorithms, our AI, machine learning algorithms, more robust and can provide also more accurate data. So when it comes to putting a wearable device on the market, if the target is going to hospitals, healthcare centers, and so on, we need to have a device which is certified, meaning that we need to be able to develop a device that meets certain requirements, and we need to make sure that the performance is not only the performance of our smartwatch that we can use when we go for a run, but we need to make sure that these devices are actually very accurate, very reliable, in order to make proper diagnosis.
I'd just like to add something about that, because you're completely right there. And that's the point you made, Laurent, at the beginning. I didn't go on. Yes, so the only device I wear today is the Oura Ring, because I can sleep with it. I used to have 4 watches and a CGM. And the Muse band or the Dream 2 band, I never could finish the night with it. I had to take it off. At some point, the 4 watches were like a discotheque in my room. It blinks red and green lights all the time. So you can't keep that on a long term. That's why Oura is so successful, because it's really easy to wear. On the other side, the problem is that this can't be as accurate as, for example, chest strap. So technology will make that happen, that at some point you can pack everything here and it's going to be accurate. But in between, we will have to make a choice between accuracy and comfort.
Absolutely agree, especially when you are not need to recharge it, because the battery will be empty exactly when you need the data. So it will be something like we say, like a ring, but self-powered, and keep the data on a chip, and then you can read it later. Maybe you don't need to transmit all the time, and this is the only one way I totally agree with you. I even cannot wear my watch when I'm sleeping. So.
Fantastic. We're seeing really some of the challenges coming out, which is great, with our panels of experts. And Alexander, you mentioned previously too much data, which leads really nicely to the next question. Many experts argue that wearables bring too much data, the proliferation of the data, if you like, and we have seen that clinicians have less and less time to deal with the patient. And what are your views here? I start with you, Tanya, please.
So the question is how to deal with all of the data?
How do you see that wearables bring too much data and the clinicians, they don't have the time, of course, to deal with the data, scrutinize the data, and is also a challenge in healthcare, not seeing the patients at the time they should see them?
Yeah, I think artificial intelligence, of course, can help a lot here, and iterative design with your customers, with the clinicians, and or in our case, with the coaches right now, so that you can really understand which metrics they want to see. And so, for example, with our software, we can analyze data 60 times faster than the current gold standard. And it actually outputs metrics that clinicians and researchers and also athletes want to see, because we were able to develop this with them over the past 5 years. So I think really it just comes down to empathy, knowing your stakeholders, knowing your customers, and then being able to actually have a platform that produces this data for them. And also reinforced machine learning, that's what we use, and that allows for a lot of scalability. So instead of just doing this for one use case, we can go to sports, research, rehabilitation, and I think that's the future.
I'm so glad that you mentioned artificial intelligence, which is really overused in healthcare anyway, but this is the future, the combination of artificial intelligence and wearables. Alexandra, over to you, please.
Yeah, what Tanya said was very interesting because if you think about it, the availability of data in order to build reliable, robust models can help also the doctors in order, for example, to make a diagnosis. If you think about it, all of this data that we are collecting can give a more general picture of the patient, for example. So you can think of a diagnosis, a person that doesn't feel well, goes to the hospital, and being able to access this data and having different points of view, analyzing the problem from different perspectives can be a very powerful tool for the doctors. And I believe that the more we'll continue to gather data, the more we'll be able to have more accurate models and to actually use them in order to help the doctor. From my point of view, more data doesn't mean that the doctors, the medical professionals won't be able to have enough time to check into all of those data, but it means that we can actually create automatic algorithms that can, for example, detect an abnormality in the patient, and it will already alert the user, the doctor, that there's something, that there's a problem with that specific person.
Alexandra, thank you so much. Laurent, your point of view, please.
Well, I hope I will live long enough that my glasses will take notice about my health, and during my lunch or dinner say to me something, you should not eat that now, or you should eat the other ones. And also my shoes and also my belts will collect some data from me and warn me in the right time to do my exercise, or to just, warn my good friend, which is a doctor, and call me and say, Laurent, your blood pressure right now is too low. You should take some sugar.
Thank you so much. You can see we're really moving into the future now. And last but not least, Alexandra, your view, please.
So today we're building some models with what we're already doing, collecting data from different wearables and from our own wearable. And like we've done in the gaming industry, I know it probably may not be that obvious, but actually it is. You can work with very simple rule-based engine at the beginning. You correlate some rules together. You know that if blood pressure goes up, you didn't sleep before, etc., and you can give very good actionables just with that. What's going to happen after is that if you put machine learning, I don't like the term artificial intelligence here because it's just machine learning at the end, statistical analysis, then you get something very interesting. Let's say you have 100 data points and you would look at 5 data points, and with these 5 data points you will learn the model to say, okay, this guy is diabetic, this guy is not diabetic, this guy is sleep prone, this guy is yes, no, and you put them into categories. What's going to happen with the machine learning model is that he's going to look at the 95 other data points that you don't look at, and now he's going to find patterns that you will never be able to see, whether it's, patterns that you feed him with, or he's going to look after them. So let's say that even on one human being, he can find interesting patterns, but if he's monitoring a population, you could find, for example, that the blood pressure of 70% of the male over 90 kilos went up just because the temperature went 2.2 degrees Celsius up. That a doctor cannot do and will never be able to do. Okay? So at the end of the day, if we do our job properly, if this is done properly, we don't need doctors anymore, because doctors will become what developers are today. They just feed back the model, they reanalyze the model, but they will never have the ability to see as far as an engine and machine learning model could do. I know it's maybe a very unpopular idea to think that, but if you have the data live in real time over a big population, you don't need humans anymore.
Wow. First of all, I'm extremely happy that we got through quite a lot of content coming up to the last 4 or 5 minutes and one final item for us to address. So, guys, what do you think it needs to happen with wearables to have a more supportive healthcare system towards a less reactive healthcare system and working to an ideal preventative and proactive healthcare system with wearables? We got about a minute each. I'll start this time with Alexandro.
From my point of view, if we want to use this data, these wearable devices in the healthcare system, if we want to have a preventive action, so if we want to make sure that we are capturing what's going on with the patient that we are monitoring, with the common people that are wearing our devices, we would need to make sure that, first of all, we are capturing enough data for the doctor to have a overall idea of the status of the patient in order to alert that there might be something, for example, a disease, an illness that can be developing and that we are still not seeing. So we would need to be able to actually predict what's going to happen. If a person needs to move more, they need to do more exercise, for example, then we need to provide this kind of support with our devices.
Alexandro, thank you so much. Alexander, to round up your insight.
Just to get back to what you said, it's exactly that. And before a disease happens, let's talk about diabetes, type 2. It's 20 years of bad health before diabetes happened. You can see it way long ago. I mean, if you have a CGM and you're in your 20s, you can see that your blood levels are completely off the records. And then you're going to be diagnosed with diabetes in your 40s. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me. 27 years old, they're already telling me, man, you're just off the charts. When I was in 40, 45, you need to take some pills. Never took them. Put a CGM on, understood what happening on, and now I have a very, very good glucose metabolism, just because I understood what I have to do and what I don't have to do. If you provide these tools to someone in his 20s, he's not going to develop any disease related to lifestyle in his 40s, 50s, or 60s. Of course, you will have things that will happen. I mean, we do. Human bodies, they decay and they have problems for sure, but I think that we can solve 90% of the disease by lifestyle choices, and that can be triggered by wearables that could tell you, you don't sleep well. For that or that reason, you also need to explain why you don't sleep well. You don't train enough, you don't take enough sun, that's another very important, you don't drink enough water, you don't move enough, etc., etc., etc. And you will have a population that will reach their 40s or their 50s without all the problems that we have in 90% of the population today.
Alexander, thank you so much. We should come back for a longer session and go into these argumentative points. It's a lot to explore, to be honest. But Laurent, your insight, please.
Well, I think everything what we are doing is kind of like in an industry called predictive maintenance. So we need something like a predictive health care, which I guess with these wearables will make for one or the other people a little bit to think about. To move more, to eat less, or whatever. I think it's something which it will be something very interesting, and it's a big market which is right now just starting. We are just really on the beginning.
Thank you so much, Laurent. And you round up and finish off with the talented Tanya. Over to you.
I definitely agree with what Alexander said. So the best prevention is just a healthy lifestyle. But there are things that can't prevent for. So for example, if you look into the muscles, there are signs that you need to be able to see within the muscles that how they're reacting before there's actually an injury. or something like that. So in order for you to use something like this to prevent, for example, re-injury, there has to be policy where you can actually integrate into the healthcare system and get reimbursement for preventative care. Because if you can't prescribe it and get reimbursement, the people can't get paid and they won't pay for it. So there's a challenge there, though, because it's hard to prove that something didn't happen because of you. And so I think that people need to reevaluate how reimbursement happens if they want to move towards preventative health care.
Sorry, it's
Thank
just,
you. Alexander, we ran out of time. I'm really
it's
sorry.
the concept of the Chinese doctor. You pay him while you stay healthy. And that's where we need to go with Wearable.
I really want to thank our experts. If it was a football match, we are actually in extra time. I really want to carry on talking, but please show your appreciation to our panel.